Everyone. Welcome to the Health E-commerce Friday Live podcast. I'm your host, Amy Kading, Technical Product Manager and Marketing Services Director here at Get Healthy. And we're going live every Friday to discuss growing the business of health and wellness. Last week, we talked about how to get your clients to actually finish their courses. And today, we're talking about a pretty hot topic in the news, cutting your time in half creating content with ChatGPT. Returning this week is our Director of Marketing, Courtney. Welcome back, Courtney.
Thanks for having me, Amy.
Yeah, always look forward to this. This is a kind of a fun topic to talk about because it's more like buzzing around everywhere. But if people have not heard what ChatGPT is, let's educate everybody on what exactly is it.
Yeah, it is a really big buzz topic right now. And so we thought we'd take sort of a deep dive on our end with our team. Amy and I have really dug in, at least as far as you might need to know as a wellness practitioner. So if you haven't heard of ChatGPT, it is an AI-based tool, and it's what they call open AI because it enables people to anyone on the internet can go on to ChatGPT and you can generate content. It also does digital assistant tasks, things like that. Amy was just telling me that someone was using it for, I think, some household chores and making a
planning a
list.
vacation.
Yeah. Oh, right, that's what it was. Yeah. So it can do a lot of interesting stuff. Not all of it's going to be completely relevant for wellness practitioners, and there's some pros and cons to it. But if you haven't seen it, basically you go in, you type in a prompt or something, you tell it what to do, and it spits back some information. So say you wanted to create an Instagram post, then you could ask it to create an Instagram post. It's so advanced that you can use your tone of voice, your branding. You can give examples. You can include whatever, almost whatever you'd like into the chat. And it's just like when you go on a website for chat help, like a chat bot, and you just type it in and it spits back some information. So it can be a really great tool, but we're going to talk about today pros and cons for wellness practitioners in particular and how you might be able to use it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Great explanation. And before we kind of get into those pros and cons, I mean, you and I have had our own reservations. I mean, people hear AI and there's like scary movies about it, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna like take away jobs, and this is a scary thing. And I think I kind of got over my initial hump of being like, well, I Google things all day long. It doesn't really matter what it's about, whether it's like spelling or something in-depth research. So we're already using a type of AI in our daily life. This is just basically aggregating all those searches we do and making it easier to digest. So it really is a great tool. We'll talk a lot about kind of the precautions throughout today's chat, but lots of great benefits. And I think our practitioners can, really see some nice benefits here. So let's start with pros.
Yeah.
I think are some of the biggest pros with ChatGPT.
I think the biggest thing is that it can cut your time down. So if you are creating some content on a daily basis or however often, it can really cut your time down. We've been using it and it does really help with that. Like I said, there's a couple of things to keep in mind, and we'll go over that in a second. It can help you get started with content. So for me, sometimes the hardest part is getting started and really getting some ideas flowing. It can just help you kind of structure things in a way that makes sense. Maybe you're not always thinking about how things need to be structured. And, you might just kind of be going to a blank page and typing out, your thoughts, or, you're trying as best you can to kind of do it on your own. But this is kind of a really fast, quick way to get you started. And another pro is it's free and available to everyone for right now. So, and I think they do have some paid options, but mostly it's free. And so it can really cut your time down if you do create content as a wellness practitioner.
Yeah. I did drop the link in the chat. Even if you're just curious, despite how you feel about it, it is worth like trying a couple prompts to see how fast it is. We'll do some visuals later on, but that doesn't really show you the speed. It's really crazy, like how quickly it talks back to you.
Yeah, it's insane. It is, like Amy said, a data aggregator. So not all data's in there. I typed in something yesterday and it took it a little while to kind of understand what I was requesting. So, that's why we're going to give you some tools and templates later in this discussion. But it could be very, very fun and a very fun example of how we're moving forward as a society, but there are some cons. So, I think we might hop into that. I think the first con
Yeah.
is they say um, on like when you first sign up. So if you do click that link and you go in, you're going to see that they give you some disclaimers at first. And one of those is that it doesn't always give you the most accurate information. So if you don't take away anything else from this talk, as a wellness practitioner, that's a huge thing to keep in mind. You always want to be sure that you don't just um, grab and copy and paste whatever ChatGPT is giving you. I know it's really tempting
Definitely.
for it to just let let it do the work. But you always want to revise because it's not always the most accurate information. And obviously, as a wellness practitioner who is trusted in the industry,
Hmm.
you want to make sure that you give the most accurate information. So that's definitely one con. Did you have anything else to add to that, Amy?
I don't think so. I think that's a really good summary. Yeah, it's very tempting just to like copy and paste. Even like I like my own talking about like traveling or blogs and things that I do on the side, like edit away. Always edit.
Mm,
Always
yes.
double check at sources, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely agree.
Yeah, and it also, in terms of reliability, I've noticed that, another con is that it does crash fairly often. I mean, it crashed a lot more when it first was released, obviously, because everyone was
Yeah.
getting on. But I've had a few times where it does crash or it does give an error back, and so you kind of have to. It's not always the most reliable tool in and of itself, so you can't always rely on that, especially if you are. I've heard of a lot of people who are um, getting rid of their staff, their content
Yeah.
writers, and things like that. And again, with the first point, not all of the information is accurate, and then the second point that it crashes often. I would say that's probably, while it can cut down your time, you still need a human brain there. You still need
Yeah.
someone there who is revising, who's going to really make sure that this is the content that you need to be writing. So it's really not the end all be all. Um, and and it doesn't always give you the most reliable information. So sometimes it can give you one thing, sometimes it can give you another thing. So you have to make sure that you are revising and editing and actually using your human brain.
Yeah. Which is why we're saying cut your time in half, not replacing your time. So it's,
Yeah,
it's a boost, not a replacement for sure.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, and you really shouldn't use it to improve your rankings, your Google rankings necessarily, and that's something that I think maybe you can speak to the best, Amy.
Sure. So there's been some great information coming. It comes out all the time. But one of the things, especially for anybody producing a lot of like blog content for their marketing site, Google can recognize AI generated content. So um, if you are straight copying and pasting out of ChatGPT, putting it on your site in the hopes of, oh, well, if I post more, it'll boost my rankings, I'll start to see organic search go up. that's not necessarily true. And I can't speak to like what the penalties would be like, but you cannot count on just pure AI content to do that work for you and to see those benefits. So it just kind of comes back to what you're saying, Courtney, like edit, edit, edit. You can still get improvement. You can still use it. You can still, incorporate links and other content from your other site to make it to where you get those SEO benefits, but you cannot solely rely on it.
Yeah, yeah, yes. And another way that ChatGPT is, I found to be a little unreliable is in social posts. You have to make sure that, if you just type in write a social post about vitamin D, for instance, it's going to be different than what is the ideal post for you to be posting, especially if you don't specify that it's on Instagram, or that you want
Right.
emojis and that you want hashtags, and that is not always consistent in ChatGPT, which is why we're going to give you some templates that you can use. We have a freebie as well, so we'll be able to give you access to that. Amy can drop it in the chat whenever before we end here, and that can give you some basic, quick guides to using ChatGPT for yourself as a wellness practitioner in particular. And then, it doesn't always come out with your brand voice completely. So you've got to make sure that you are specifying what voice that you want. As a data aggregator, it can kind of absorb that information and use it in the future. So you can teach it certain things. So you can feed it your mission statement, you can feed it keywords, and it will actually take that in for future prompts that you might be writing for your content. So that is a positive, I would say, but you have to be careful with making sure, again, that it is writing in your tone of voice for your brand.
Yeah. But to the point, that's another good pro too, is that you can teach it things. So it's not just like, this is what I say, and it doesn't matter if it's inaccurate or not, it will learn with you. So it was funny. I did something the other day and I was like, that's not right. And I told ChatGPT that. And it was like, oh, I'm so sorry. What about? So it was like, okay, wow, now
Oh
it's
man.
apologizing to me. I should be a little bit nicer to it. But I think that's interesting. You can teach it things and educate it. And especially when you're trying to inject your own brand, teaching it about, let's say we're talking about Get Healthy, talking about how Get Healthy started and feeding it facts, that it saves it all and they can feed it into your future content. So that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. Well, for the folks who have never seen it, Courtney and I are going to spice things up this week and do a little role playing, just so you can kind of hear some of the prompts and some of, we'll kind of summarize because ChatGPT spits out a lot of information, and then we'll go through and show you a couple of the things that it looks like. So we'll kind of pick a random topic, like let's say, our marketing team's wanting to do some promotion and education around vitamin D. So let's start with maybe a blog post, Courtney. Courtney's going to be the marketer. I'll be ChatGPT. So what are some of the prompts you would use?
Yeah. So for example, if I was looking for a blog post, I might say, please provide a 100-word blog post about the benefits of vitamin D. The tone should be scholarly and the information needs to be easily digestible to the reader. So we want to make sure that we are including the tone, how long it is. There's a lot of specific information in there. And then you want it to be, like we said, easily digestible. So those are 3 points that you might want to take away. But that's just an example. Please provide. You can do that for, an Instagram post or an article you might be writing or something like that. So then ChatGPT would return.
Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that plays an essential role in maintaining overall health. It's important for the development and maintenance of strong bones and teeth. I'll kind of summarize because, again, we're not going to read all 100 words, but additionally, research has shown that vitamin D may have a variety of other health benefits, including reducing the risk of certain diseases such as MS, heart disease, and certain types of cancer. So, it kind of spits out factual
Yeah.
information. If this were our blog, I might want to go and link some references that I've trusted and do some fact checking about what, just things like that. But it's a great starting point to like take that and be like, okay, like what points do I want to focus on or flesh out more? Where do I think I need to add more detail? But, it would take me a lot longer to think about how to word that and write it out versus the 5 seconds ChatGPT did.
Right, exactly, exactly, and that's what we're saying. I mean, you can see here it's quite long, and it can really help you get started and cut down your time. I would recommend, putting in your, if you have a store, that's another thing that ChatGPT is not going to do for you. You do need to be sure to, tie in your store as well. If you were going to take this blog post, you need to insert your store link
Yeah,
and make sure that you specifically link to that vitamin D that you want to include. Again, it's kind of like cutting your time in half, right?
yep,
You've got this great blog post. It looks like the tone is right. It looks like, they have the 100 word count, everything you asked for, but you still need to do a few things, and that's just really, really important to keep in mind.
definitely. So that's one type of content. Of course, in marketing, there's lots of other ones. I think another one, some subject lines. I know I use this, Courtney. I'm sure you probably use this in marketing as well. How
Yeah.
can, you cut down your time in half in something like this?
hmm Yeah. So, I mean, if I were, I do like the subject lines that ChatGPT produces. So, if I were looking for subject lines, I would say, what are two subject lines for Promo D benefits? And it's just, I like that it's as simple as that. And then,
Hmm.
ChatGPT returns, um, discover the surprising benefits of vitamin D, order now. And,
Yeah,
um, and I actually really like both of these. I think these are good examples. Um, the only other thing you might want to do is say include an emoji. And that's another
yeah,
thing to keep in mind, is that you can do chain inputting. So, say I forgot to include emojis in the first chat, then I would just input, okay, insert an emoji into these subject lines for me. And maybe they would change it, or they would kind of choose the right emoji for the right subject line, which is really
and we've got
nice.
to get. Yeah, let's show an example for people that are listening and can't see this. This is just an example of like asking for some headlines for Instagram stories, or kind of the same topic, but really asking for a specific type of content. This one was interesting because we didn't say use emojis. We asked for some witty headlines, and it injected some emojis for us, which I like these. I thought these were all clever. Again, for people that can't see, the first one was vitamin D, your ticket to stronger bones and better moods. It's got a bone emoji. I believe that's a smile emoji and a sun that's kind of small, but very witty, kind of at least light. Um, and then also
Yeah.
for um, you could ask it for emojis and hashtags. And so we did this example, like asking for a social post, and I would, you know, probably just say, in my opinion, it's a little bit long for a social post, but it's incorporating copy, it's incorporating emojis. And here at the bottom, we've got about, I don't know, at least 10 hashtags, which, it's great that it aggregates that for you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the hashtags and the emojis, I feel like that's definitely a big time saver. We've got one more piece we can show here, which one of the prompts we did was asking for email copy. And, of course, it depends on the type of content that you're doing for email, whether it's like, more visual with images, or if you are doing some copy, but at least this kind of spit out something that you could work with. And what I liked is that in this copy, it kind of did brackets of an area to maybe put a code when you're talking about a supplement to promote, or, had brackets for incorporating your company name. So it's already kind of trying to urge you to customize it. Um,
Yeah.
but, of course, again, you can like take this and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, sorry, my dog is asleep and having a
It's
wonderful
okay.
dream. So you might hear him dreaming. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not always going to do that for you. But I think that's, again, a really big reason why you need to go back. And I'm just going to keep reiterating that. Revise,
Yeah.
revise. Don't depend on ChatGPT solely. I mean, especially if you're like a CEO or someone kind of higher up and you'd normally pass those tests off to someone, you can't kind of just enter in some information and let
Yep.
it go. So but I think that is nice. Sometimes it'll provide a prompt for you to enter in your codes or your links or something like that. um, but always revise, revise, revise. And yeah, I think, do we have any other examples?
I think that's it. I would say
Okay.
revise and probably be like as specific as possible too. And we just kind of looked at that witty example, and that reminds me, I mean, and also in terms of like, don't like replace your employees. Like, while you can teach it keywords and about your brand and to speak, not as much as a robot, it is still an AI tool. I think of some writers I've hired in the past that are like really talented when it comes to like a little bit of New England salty snarkiness, like I haven't seen
Hmm.
ChatGPT quite be able to put out like a very, very specific voice depending on the brand. But that's where you
Yeah.
come in and then you revise. But I think the more specific you can be with it, the more you can start to trust it and feel comfortable with it. So, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
like the general rule of thumb is be specific and
Hmm.
make sure you edit.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
So, like Courtney mentioned, we've got a great freebie that's kind of like a cheat sheet to help you, get started, explore it. That link is in the chat. You can also reach us at marketing@gethealthy.store, and we can point you in the direction in case you missed that link today. Also, you'll see on there are, other AI tools. We talked a lot about, you know, text and chat GPT, but there's a lot of other ones out there. Are there any that you want to highlight for folks today, Courtney?
Well, one we looked at recently, which was really cool, was Durable, and it can create a marketing website in very short amount of time, which I thought was really, really nice as a marketer. I think that is an amazing tool. And so there's that one. And then for writing copy, I have used this tool before, Jasper. If you want to write any content copy, that is another nice AI tool. And it's specifically, I know they have like templates and things like that. So if you need a little more direction or something like that, or you don't want to use ChatGPT, Jasper is an interesting one. And there's also Canva image generator. So Canva has incorporated some AI into their technology, which is really nice.
Yeah.
You can input some information and it will spit out an image. So that is really nice. Canva almost has it all. They just don't generate copy, so they need to do that next. But they are a really nice tool, and we love using Canva.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's. Are there
Yeah.
any that you'd like to highlight?
I think it's nice that there's such a variety for anybody who's already in marketing and like wanting to elevate it. Let's say use like video content or create a commercial or an ad. Like there's video tools, like Pictory is a good one. But also, like you mentioned, creating a marketing website, or there's even, AI tools for creating a logo. So if you're a practitioner and let's say you already have a store, but you're wanting to do more on marketing content and get a marketing website, like there are tools that can make that so much easier for you than it ever used to be. So they're there. We should utilize it. And there's no reason to be afraid. They can only, help us when used correctly. So definitely
Yeah,
check those out when you download the freebie. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what else comes out in the next 1,
Yeah.
5, 10 years. It's going to be kind of crazy, but it's a pretty
Mhm.
exciting time that we have tools like this. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, and I think the thing to keep in mind too is like you still need to use your brain. You still need to have that human, interaction. And these tools are not perfect, but they can help you, like we said, cut your time in half. So use them as you see fit. We've liked them. We've liked using them. We were skeptical at first, both Amy and I, and
Yeah.
like this is why we're here kind of presenting the pros and cons to you. But we've used them, and they've saved me a lot of time. I'm sure you, Amy.
Yeah.
And so definitely, like Amy said, don't feel afraid. We we as skeptical marketers like them. So feel free to use them. But I
Yeah.
think that probably
Sweet
wraps us up.
Tracy just said, can't I? Tracy said, can't I just use you guys? The point is to cut time in half. We only have so much time, Tracy. You can use us, but you can use it too. So remember that you all have the power to learn it, just like we learn new technology all the time. But I think
Yes.
that's it. Make sure you check out that freebie. Again, if you have any questions for Courtney and I, you can reach us at marketing@gethealthy.store, or you can always find us at gethealthy.store/contact. Please make sure you follow and subscribe to all of our social channels. And then please come back next week. We'll be here, same time, same place. Tracy Straup's going to return to discuss how to get more engagement with group program promos. So going to be more interesting content around programs. If you haven't watched them, we've got quite a few building up in our library. So feel free to go back and catch up with us, and then we'll keep it going and keep doing our best to educate you guys. So thanks for taking the time to be here, Courtney. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.